Hello everybody and big welcome back to our top tips and tricks for conditioning flowers. And today we're going to talk about viburnum. Now for any of our newbies that are joining us, pop off and get yourself a notebook and pen so that you can take some notes. Remember, you can always pause and rewind these videos. So viburnum, often known as the snowball tree. This hasn't been hydrated yet, it just has got delivered in from Holland, so it obviously hasn't been hydrated. So I want to explain to you what you need to do to extend the longevity of your flowers and obviously to get them looking their best. Most flowers, all flowers, have a meaning, and I suppose the meaning behind viburnum is winter, okay? It probably is more of a winter, kind of like spring type of flower, but believe it or not, it is available from November to June. So for most months, you can actually get viburnum. And I suppose the peak months would be January to May. So again, if you have weddings around that time of the year, or even flower arrangements, it's an ideal flower to recommend. And remember with all flowers, is when you buy it when it's in season, you are going to get it more reasonably priced than if you buy a flower that's out of season. Something else to write down in your notes. Normally they last between 7 and 10 days, but that obviously depends on the conditions, okay? So obviously the warmer it is, the less it's going to last. The cooler it is, the longer it's going to last. It loves temperatures between 2 and 8 degrees, which is quite cool, you know, that way. So if you think in a flower shop, it's easy to control that. But obviously if you include this in a bouquet of flowers, a hand type bouquet, and it goes to somebody's house, their house is that little bit warmer, so that definitely is going to affect, and you might find that they only last about 7 days in people's houses. You can get long stems. This is just kind of a medium length that I have here today, but you can get really long stems of viburnum. So it's ideal for like large floral structures, like for event or wedding decoration. It's perfect. But even the medium and the smaller stems, they're ideal for wedding bouquets because again, you get less heads kind of per stem. They're mostly this kind of like creamy sort of green sort of colour, you know, that way. Now just to be aware, they're a really thirsty flower, so they drink lots of water. They have a woody stem, and you do find that with flowers that have a woody stem, like it's harder for them to get the water up through the stem. So like with all roses or all flowers, okay, I didn't mean to say roses that time, with all flowers where we recommend cutting a 45-degree angle and cutting at least an inch off the end of them. Like with viburnum, I recommend cut it as often as you can. So even in the first, 6 to 8 hours while it's having its first drink, is maybe cut after 4 hours and then recut again after 4 hours. Now I'm not saying cut a big chunk off it, but even just a half a centimetre, do you know that way? And that will help get the water up the stem. Sometimes you find like that you have it in water for a couple of days and again it looks a little bit wilty. Now again, this looks wilty because it hasn't been hydrated yet. It's just literally out of the box. I've done nothing to it, okay? But say you've already conditioned and treated, and then you would find in 3 or 4 days that the heads are a little bit kind of like dehydrated looking or a little bit wilty. Best thing to do is actually place it down into the basin or the bucket of water that way, and leave the head submerged in the water for about 20 minutes. 30 minutes maximum will be enough. Take it out, and when you take it out, like kind of let it drip dry. Don't try and stand it up straight away, you know what I mean? Let it drip dry, that the heavy surplus water is removed, and then stand it back up the right way. That'll kind of avoid any of the heads actually getting broken. Now most times when you buy it, okay, you will get a special flower food, okay? So you can see there, this is actually a special viburnum flower food that was attached to them already. Even though you can use your normal flower food, it actually prefers a shrub flower food. So it is kind of more of a shrub or a greenery rather than a flower. So if possible, if you have these, like make sure that you use them. Remove the plastic. So we always say that, remove the plastic off the majority of flowers because that allows the ethylene gas to escape. Have your vase scrupulously clean. Again, if you've listened to me before, if you can't drink out of the bucket, your flowers can't drink out of the bucket. They have to be scrupulously clean. So we always recommend sterilising our buckets and vases using domestic bleach. If you've missed any of them tutorials, search them on YouTube. You know, that way, just look up Case Flower School and you'll find that tutorial. I always, for their first drink, you know, that way, I give them tepid water, you know, that way, just while they have that first drink. And then after that, then, like, cold water is absolutely fine. Again, like, you know what I mean, because it's a woody stem, you may find them kind of difficult to actually cut, you know, that way. So, like, remove your plastic. remove any leaf, you know, that way. And again, you can see like the way it hasn't been hydrated yet. So again, like you can remove the leaf like with your hands, or you can use your stem stripper. You're then going to cut at least an inch or so off the end of it on a 45-degree angle. That will help it to drink. Place it down in the tepid water, and within 2-3 hours you'll see that will actually start to stand up straight. Then in 4 hours time, recut another little bit off it, place it back in the water, and then in the next 4 hours you'll see then how strong and how sturdy it is. And the more you cut it, it's not like the flower is already open, so like basically what you see is what you get, but it'll prolong the life of the flower and it'll make them sturdier and stronger. They're ideal for flower arrangements, you know, that way. And again, you can cut up them smaller little offcuts, and again for maybe covering in a wreath base or covering in the base of a flower arrangement, they're absolutely perfect. In a flower arrangement, again, if your floral foam is not consistently soaked, okay, again, you can find that the flower itself may go wilty. So the trick is keep the floral foam topped up all the time with water, but also mist it, so that we're inclined to like use a mister. It's a beautiful flower to use in weddings, and especially if you want to kind of get that real loose, kind of bouncy, kind of dancing effect to your wedding bouquets, it's beautiful. Even to use as a filler or instead of a foliage in your wedding bouquets, it's beautiful. Hopefully you have picked up a couple of little tips there. If anybody has any questions, post your questions in the comments below. We will respond back to every comment and every question posted. And again, thank you for joining me. I would really appreciate if you shared this video, maybe in a flower club, or again, if you have friends who are loving flowers, is share it with them or tag them underneath. And again, thanks for joining me. My name is Janette and I'm from Case Flower School.